Okay, so I'm going to talk about what to do if you are a new Christian, meaning you have recently accepted God into your heart and you have been transformed, but you don't really know what to do next. We all need that guidance when we're new because, I was guided, and so now I feel like I am able to guide other people, which is so cool. It's just awesome. So I'm going to talk about two major things that I think are so important whenever you are new, whenever you are first becoming Christian. And don't get me wrong, these things are always important. These things are still important in my life today. But when you're first starting, these are two things that you really need to learn and that you really need to do in order to get your walk, in order to really build your relationship with God and just deepen it and really get off on a really good start. And so the first thing is dive in. And excuse my sound, I know it's not the cutest thing ever, but it happens. But so what do I mean by dive in? Okay, so whenever you spend time with God, whenever you dive in to God, I feel like there are two components. So the first one is reading the Word, and the second one is praying and just spending time with God. Okay, so which reading the Word is also spending time with God, but there's different ways. Okay, so I'm going to talk about it. So what I do is when I read the Word, I try to always ask myself, so what? What does this mean? Why is this relevant to me? Okay, and I don't just skip over. I try not to just skip over things. I try to stop on things and meditate on them because everything in the Bible is put there for a reason. Okay, so everything that's there, there's nothing that's pointless. Everything can speak to us, and even if it's not relevant in your life at the time, it's still there for a reason. And so it's valuable to really go slow and to understand what you're reading instead of just going really fast and just skipping over things just for the sake of reading it. You really need to be meditating on these words and figuring out what God is trying to say. And so another thing is that when I read, I journal. So I take a verse, and whatever verse really starts sticking out at me, or a couple of verses or whatever, I write it down, and then I write underneath it, what do I think about this? I just let my mind go. I let God take over, and I just start writing. I start writing what I think about it, how it is true in my life right now. If it's convicting me, I write whatever I'm thinking. I also journal words that are spoken over me, like people, what happens in my life and struggles that I'm going through and how God's using it, or just any kind of, like if I hear a teaching and I write those things down, I talk about it. And so I think all those things are really valuable. And I feel really lucky that I was encouraged to journal because I think that that's something that's so important, because you're not just reading, but you're going deeper. You're really learning, and you're really digging into the words, because anyone can read a book, but if you really want it to penetrate your life, you need to be thinking about it, and you need to be trying to learn the verses and memorizing them and all that kind of stuff. So the second component to diving in would be diving into prayer. And so I know that I talk about having a relationship with God. And so that comes through reading the Word and also prayer. But what does it mean how do you pray to God when He's not there? When you're new, these are questions that you're going to have. These are, whenever you sit there, sometimes it's going to feel like you're just talking to a wall. Sometimes you're going to feel weird. You're going to feel like, what am I even doing? But I promise you that He's there. And if you're having trouble, if you're having trouble feeling like you're growing when you're new, and what I want to encourage you to do is go somewhere by yourself. Set apart time for God. So just set apart time for you and God. Go to the quiet place. Just go somewhere. Go somewhere where you feel comfortable. Go somewhere where you can hide with God and just pour your heart out to Him. Just pour your heart out to Him. Just talk to Him. Tell Him everything. Just pour it out. And just ask Him to help you. Ask Him to help you grow. Just begin to pray for people that you know. Just begin to pray for everything that you could even think of. And sometimes you don't even need to use words. Sometimes you can just sit in His presence and just spend time with him without even talking. And so both of those they go hand in hand. And in order to grow as a Christian, you have got to spend time in the Word, and you have got to spend time praying. Jesus is our perfect example, and he spent a lot of time with the Father. And obviously there wasn't a Bible then, but he spent so much time with the Father, and now we have the Bible at our fingertips, and so we need to be in it. If you're a Christian and you're like, why am I not growing? That's probably why, is because you're not setting apart that time, that intimate time with you and God, where you can truly learn and truly seek and dive in. It's so important. And that, the whole concept of praying, it might be confusing, and just it's all about your heart. And if your heart is really, if you're seeking God, he's going to be overjoyed that you're sitting down and talking to him. Okay. And so don't be worried about, you're not going to pray right, or don't be worried about like how to pray or what it means to talk to him. Just, sometimes I just sit and I ask God to speak to me, and sometimes I'm doing a lot of talking, and sometimes I try to wait for him to talk, and it just depends. Okay. So the second thing that is really important when you're new, and also anytime, is, let me find it, to plug in. Also a really pretty sign. But what I mean by plug in is get plugged in at a church, okay? Because it's so important. The church is Christ's body, and God loves the church. And so I think that whenever we are new, it is so important to surround ourselves with good influences, people that will build us up, people that will encourage us, people that will correct us if we're really not walking in the right way. That is so important. And so we all need people backing us up. We all need people who we can just feel comfortable with, and who can point us in the right direction. Okay. Because especially when you're new, it's really easy to get pulled down. Okay. So I'm not saying that you can only have Christian friends, and that you have to, you can't be friends with anyone who is not at all, because Jesus was friends with so many people who weren't following him, and who didn't have a relationship, or who weren't trying or anything like that. So that's what I'm saying. But just make sure that you surround yourself, get plugged in at church, start volunteering, start doing whatever you can. Be part of a small group. If you're a teenager, get involved in the youth group. If you're an adult, do, like I just said, small groups, become part of any kind of ministry team, and, get to know your team members, any kind of thing like that, because those things are going to help you. They're going to help you stay sharpened. They're going to keep you accountable, because if you're just sitting at home all the time, it's just really not good for you. And so as Christians, we should be in church. And so I encourage you to just really get plugged in, because it is very good. I loved when I got plugged into church. It just makes the mountains of difference, because you all of a sudden you're around all these people who you can grow with. You can talk to them about what you're struggling with, and odds are, they've been there, or they know what you're talking about, or they're willing to listen. And so I would just really say it's important to make sure that you're getting plugged in, and that you're staying part of the body. And the Bible says do not neglect meeting together. And so that's something that I think is important. And so, yes. So as an overview, when you're new, it's and always, I already said that, but and today for me, the most important thing is that we're seeking God. I can't even express it. Just seek him with all you have, just every single thing. And that's how you're going to grow. That's how you're going to that's how you're going to develop a relationship with God. And also just try to get plugged in, and try to be serving him and doing those things when surrounded by all other people who love him. And it's so important. And so I hope that this helped you in any way. If you have any questions, message me, or do whatever, text me, however you want to get a hold of me. I don't care. And I will gladly answer. And I just thank you for listening, and I hope you have a great day.